It's 7 o'clock p.m. on a Friday night. It's the 25th day of October, and the World Series kicks off in about an hour. I don't think I'll be going to 9 o'clock tonight, especially since all of my guests had to be moved to other places. Matt he's on leaf duty. He said leaf duty ends this week. I should be back next week. I said good, because that's November 1st. That could be your last Friday around. You know, if the 5th in paradise from the studio all by myself, the Phantom of the Opera behind my little organ over here. And I hope you guys like what I have, being put down before you. There's just way too much. Way too much to do. Jeremy Ryan Slate next week. It gets kicked off with him and Roger Stone on Monday. Then we got Grace, really graceful on Tuesday. Can't wait for that. Costume contest. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of other spooky stories. We're going to do some spooky stories tonight. In fact, all of the news is spooky. All of the news is spooky. All of it. Very, very spooky stuff. And let's see where it all goes. Okay, first one up. Let's just go right into the grab bag, shall we? Sorry, that's the sounds of New York. There you go. It's all calmed down now. Everybody's fine. All right, so let's see. Over here. Wait a second. Where the hell is it? There we go. Peter Schiff. There's a little bit more on the whole Donald Trump advocating the income tax going away. I read a little bit of a comment from Ron Paul last night, which I'm sure was, that's music to his ears. He's been talking about that for his entire life, and I'm glad that this is even coming up, even if it's just in jest, because it just needs to be seeded. People need to go and see what it's all about. I think it'd be a really great thing for them, and perhaps we should do a lot more of that in the new year as well. Take out some Hayek, go back into Friedman. Maybe we can do some really good learning, and I can grab some good guests. I've been trying to get, I'd love to have a few. I have a few in mind, and we'll see what I can do. I don't know. Anyway, Peter Schiff has some things to say about the income tax. Now, real Donald Trump is advocating eliminating the income tax completely and replacing it with tariffs, which was how the federal government was funded prior to 1913. In fact, the 16th Amendment. The 16th Amendment was ratified precisely to replace tariffs on the middle class with income taxes on the rich. However, in 1913, the federal government spent less than 2% of GDP. Today, it spends over 24% of GDP. It's impossible to fund the massive federal government we have with the indirect tax system that we had then. If Trump wants to return the tax system we had prior to 1913, he would need to eliminate all of the government programs enacted since then. That would really make America great again. So what we said last night, you ain't going to do anything without getting the states off of the federal methadone drip, and that's just the way it's going to be. You are not going to be able to float the welfare state on tariffs. Not going to be able to do it. The military is going to get a little bit of a haircut. Actually, no, the military, that would be one. But then again, even the nature of our military, the standing army, in times of peace, why are we deployed all over the world? That's not constitutional in itself. It is such a rat's nest, but hell, I love that it's being spoken about in unironic ways. I really am. All right, here's another one for you. Headline from Newsweek. Mark Swan sent me this one. Police uncover a drug ring using a pizzeria's popular pizza, number 40. Okay, so I guess you can call this pizzeria up and order number 40. Police raided a pizzeria that was reportedly delivering cocaine alongside its pizzas when customers ordered them number 40 on the menu. Okay, that's what you have. You want item number 40? Well, you're going to get pizza and you're going to get Coke. And very popular it was, too, according to the police in Dusseldorf, Germany, who were, I thought this was here in the United States. Probably going on in the United States as well. I know some pizza guys that like Coke. No, not you pizza guys. They're probably if this show, no, it's not. It's World Series night. They're not broadcasting me in Frankie and Louie's tonight. I'm not talking about you guys. It's somebody else. There's a lot of pizzerias around here. Anyway, Very popular it was, too, according to the police in Dusseldorf, Germany, who were responsible for the investigation into the cocaine-selling pizzeria in their home city. How is pizza in Germany? Do they have Mexicans making it as well? It was one of the best-selling pizzas, criminal director Michael Graf von Moltke told reporters in Dusseldorf. The saga began in March when food inspectors became suspicious of the establishment's unusual customer traffic. Had to come back. They tipped off police who promptly sent in the drug squad to investigate. What they uncovered was a hive of illicit activity surrounding pizza number 40, which evidently had a little extra kick that kept customers coming back for more. Wait a second. They put the drugs in the pizza? Or was it you got a pizza with a bag of drugs on top of it, like they hid it in the garlic balls or something? The investigation initially came to a head when officers decided to pay a visit to the pizzeria's manager's apartment. There, they found the 36-year-old allegedly throwing a bag of drugs out the window, which, according to Dusseldorf police, fell right into the arms of police officers below. Oh, it just never gets any easier. Never gets any easier than that. If you're a police officer and a bag of drugs just falls in... What? The bag contained 3.5 pounds. What? A nearly 4-pound bag of cocaine falls on an officer. 14.1 ounces of cannabis. And 268,000 euros. That's $290,378 in cash. Wait a sec. They found a 36-year-old throwing a bag of drugs out the window. So this bag, I have to imagine that this is the bag that they're talking about. This guy threw a bag. Oh, 14 ounces of cannabis. That's not a lot. It's not a big bag. If it was 14 pounds of cannabis, I'd be like, this was a huge bag. I mean, 14 ounces is a nice haul. You won't have to buy any for a while. But at least for me, 14 ounces would last me 14 years. Maybe more. Maybe more. Probably last me 27 years. Especially now. Oh, man. Oh, man. After spending a few days in detention, the manager was released and promptly reopened his business and continued to sell the pizza, cocaine side order included. This provided investigators the opportunity to further examine the supply chain. Police in German state of North Rhine-Westphalia had already been operating against drug dealers in the state, including the capital, Dusseldorf. After several weeks of investigation, around 150 officers dismantled an entire drug ring in western Germany, arresting 3 suspects, including a 22-year-old identified as the head of the operation. Police also raided the homes and businesses of 12 additional suspects. According to a public prosecutor, the main suspect is a Russian man accused of having, in cooperation with other persons, purchased cannabis and cocaine in kilogram quantities and sold them to other dealers. Wow. They went right at it. They went right back at it. I don't know. That's crazy. So that's going on there. Thank you, Mark Swan, for the contribution. Here's one from the New York Post, which has officially come out and endorsed Donald Trump. But if they had not endorsed Donald Trump, people would not go and burn everything down and sacrifice chickens like the left is doing because of the LA Times and the Washington Post. It's beyond me. I don't understand it. Now, I know that they're crazy, really psychotic, culty type of people. Have you guys seen this stuff? It's I don't know why they're irate over a couple of well-known. They're commie rags. Everybody knows that the LA Times and the Washington Post are commie rags. Everybody knows that. So they're not making a public endorsement over the Harris campaign, and everybody's at least saying that they're canceling their subscriptions. Every celebrity on Twitter is like, I'm canceling my subscription to LA Times and blah, 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 and here's why you should too. It's a very, very strange Bud Light moment, you know? Very strange. It's not like they threw in with Donald Trump. They're just like, we're going to sit this one out. Okay? Here's Rob Reiner said, the Washington Post editorial board is a disgrace. for the newspaper that exposed the Pentagon Papers and the Watergate scandal to not take a position and endorse a candidate in the most consequential presidential election in 165 years is reprehensible. They should go and endorse Jill Stein tomorrow. The Washington Post should endorse Jill Stein tomorrow. Rob Reiner can go. What a fat fuck. Why is he still on Twitter? He was one of those people. I'm leaving Twitter. I'm leaving it. Can't stand. Why is he still here? God, just smell the insulin. I can smell the insulin from 2,000 miles away with that fat fuck. Anyway, who knows why they're not endorsing it? There's actually strategic value in saying, I'm not endorsing it. We're too afraid of retribution at this point. Like, to pretend like they're Donald Trump will come after you if you endorse a political candidate that's not him. To even pretend that you're scared about that helps bolster this kind of fear campaign, this environment of fear that is being stoked and intensified and at least kept at a slight boil this entire time. But who the hell knows? Who knows what Jeff Bezos is thinking and all that stuff? Anyway, the New York Post, which has endorsed Donald Trump, and I don't care, is reporting that a slimy orange alien egg pod, or these alien egg pods, are being discovered in the rivers, and they're spreading rapidly. It's giving sci-fi nightmares. Just in time for spooky season, a bizarre slimy orange bag said to resemble a glowing dinosaur egg has been pulled from a river. While the scientists say that they know what it is, a colony of byrozones, I don't know what the hell that is, slimy little hermaphrodites that cluster together. Hermaphrodites? That cluster together to create a dinosaur egg-like pod. They're puzzled as to why the creepy crew has literally been hanging out of the canal in Holland. Look at this. That's weird. That is strange. The phenomenon does not normally occur in the Netherlands, local ecologist Anne Nij told AD. The big bag is formed by several animals together. At a certain point, they form a colony, and different colonies can then stick together again. A bag can become 2 meters in diameter. That bag then attaches itself to something else. That is just gross. All right, so it's not happening here in the United States, but it's gross. Hermaphrodites are just, I don't know. I mean, I guess we got these things all over the place over here, too. But, you know, anyway, many of them will be voting on November 5th, and we'll see what happens. All right, one last thing. Again, ladies and gentlemen, go to quitefrankly.tv because Monday is the cutoff. Go to the forum. We want you to be a part of the bulletin for November. I want you to be featured in there. A lot of you have gone to the bulletin and up there. What are you thankful for? Thank you so much for the responses. We have about 10 really great responses. Please make sure that you put your name, your nickname, or a location there. We need that at least so we can attribute it to somebody. It takes 5 seconds, everybody. Go and just tell us what you're thankful for. Also, leave some photos. There's content submissions, photo submissions. These three right up here are so important. These three threads, they're pinned to the top of the forum. Follow the instructions and leave some stuff for us so that we can feature you in the November 4th bulletin. Well, you're going to be there in good company, too. Rich Barris is going to be contributing something. We have a couple of really great things. Whatever happens with me and my mother at Yankee Stadium will certainly be there, covered in the behind the scenes. So I appreciate you all. Okay, let's get this show started and underway. BRB.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up.
Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back.
Does anybody else want to stay?
Let's
gentlemen, there's just so much to say. There's so much to say about our current predicament. Mel Gibson has something to say. That's right. TMZ, somebody found him at an airport somewhere. They saw St. Mel, and let's see what Mel had to say about Kamala Harris. He didn't mince words.
The president is being voted on in days. What's your thoughts?
Oh man, that's a big question.
What's wrong?
I don't think it's going to surprise anyone who I vote for.
Well, so I mean, I'm gonna guess. We go in. Yeah. I'm gonna guess Trump. Is that a bad guess?
I think it's a pretty good guess.
Well, what do you think the world will be like in a second term with the President Trump's second term? A lot of people
I know what it'll be like if we let her in.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And that ain't good.
Yeah. Well, listen.
Miserable track record. Appalling track record. No policies to speak of.
Yeah. And the border, right?
And she's got the IQ of a fence post.
And she's got the IQ of a fence post. No policies to speak of. Miserable track record. Has the IQ of a fence post. He ain't lying. You know why? Because Mel doesn't lie.
That's all behind him.
Well, he spoke from his heart. He did. So there's that. Now, I have a little bit more for you, as far as media goes, and people who are either witches themselves or people who are willing to trigger covens of witches on right there on live television. This is Kevin O'Leary of Shark Tank. He went on to CNN last night. He's sitting among people like Larry Wilmore, who used to write for great shows like The Office. To think, wow, these people had really great senses of humor. They were doing good things for the world. Now they're showing up at regular panels on CNN and Bill Maher, and they're just showing the world how much of a nonce they actually are. Here's Kevin O'Leary triggering a whole bunch of ladies. Oh, I love it. They have no control of themselves. I often bring up Who Framed Roger Rabbit and the shave and a haircut trick. Shave and a haircut. Dun, 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 dun. It's so easy to trigger these ladies they start squirming. They can't control their faces. They have no poker faces. They are just driven by irrationality, and they have to stay. They actually start quacking like ducks. It's really ducks. You can call it catty, whatever, but it really is some kind of it's bird-like behavior. I think that's the animal. I think that's the animal that I would go with right now. You can like the yappy little dogs, yes, but there's something bird-like about them. Listen to this.
I would like to introduce the concept of the panel tonight. It's going to be a short dissertation, but I want you to think about this because I watched like you did yesterday, and something hit me pretty hard. Only 90 days ago, Pelosi went to Biden and said, you need to step aside, and convinced him to do so. He made the decision, and he did actually ask her, and we've now learned this, is she the right person to drive this home? He questioned that. He could have said, we need to run.
It's already too much for them to bear. They're already ready to attack.
On a process in order for me to make this move.
They
decided not to.
You see? Like they're fighting it. There's something coming up. It's just like just trying to keep it down. Just stay down. It's not going to happen. You have no control of yourself, lady.
I don't know who they is. Was it Obama? Was it Pelosi? I don't care who it was. In stock picking, just listen to this analogy. And you may agree, you may not. 88% of managers, because this is the world I live in, cannot beat the S&P year in, year out. So you give them $1,000, the S&P beats them. They can't pick stocks. This is the second time the Democratic Party has circumvented democracy and chose.
That's not true.
Yes, it is. Hillary Clinton was chosen, and she had Bruce Springsteen too. And what happened to her? And now we've chosen.
Kevin, Hillary Clinton won a primary. Okay, she won a primary. You may not.
Nobody could compete with her, even Bernie Sanders.
She won a primary.
She didn't. They wrote articles about it. Donna Brazile, she gave her own testimony of feeling terrible that she had to go to Bernie Sanders, a guy who actually had organic momentum with people. He's a lunatic, but he had organic anti-establishment kind of momentum with people. He had raised about $200 million from college funds, whoever the hell was kicking up $20 bills to him. She was taking in money from Kuwait, where God knows how they were raising money with all their $500,000 speaking engagements and all their bullshit and whatever. Donna Brazile talked about how heartbroken she was to have to go to Bernie Sanders and say, listen, I mean, the DNC is the Clinton campaign. It is not the DNC and then the person who is at the forefront of all of the polls, Hillary Clinton. It's no, the DNC is broke. Hillary Clinton and her campaign have consumed the DNC, and it is hers now. The superdelegates are hers. He knew he was dead in the water, but he still went out there and raised and spent all that money. That was the first time around that it was a very, very public thing. It's probably been wheeling. These things have probably been wheeling and dealing for God knows how long. But Hillary Clinton and the broke DNC in 2016, boom, it was not a primary. Then you have Joe Biden in 2020, which was not a primary either. Nobody wanted him either. He would just be appropriate to push to the front because he was at the center of all of the Ukraine inquiries about what was going on out there in Ukraine with Burisma and everything else. So they wanted to make him seem like he really was a top candidate. And what did they do? They got everybody else who was far more viable as a candidate to drop out the night before Super Tuesday and make him the preeminent. There you go. That had nothing to do with people's votes. That's what they canceled people's options. And then this. Right until the day that he stepped aside and whatever, Joe Biden was saying, I'm staying in this. He was forced out in the middle of the summer of the election. So it's just incredible. They will do whatever. And now this is really, they understand the situation, but they know that there are people at home. If this was a closed door conversation, it would be something, they'll listen to him a little bit more. Maybe they might even nod in agreement from time to time and say, yeah, well, that's the way it is. Or, well, we have to beat Trump, so whatever. But the fact that they're trying to defend this as a Democratic move. Now, watch what they go into. They go, well, listen, it's the party rules and all that stuff. Okay. But it's not a Democratic Party move. It's not a Democratic organizational move. It has no consideration for what the people who consider themselves member of that party actually feel about the candidates being put forward. There's no group involvement here. It's just the chairmans of the board.
Okay.
First of all, that's the first
So
thing.
did Kamala Harris win a primary?
Listen, we've talked about this before.
What's wrong about talking about it tonight after what you just saw?
Do you think that's really what matters to voters?
Right now.
How many Democrats win?
Okay, this little bird over here, she's the runt of the litter, and she's trying to nuzzle her nose into the pack so she can get a nipple to suck on. She finally is given some time, and the best she can come up with is, do you really think that this is what voters care about? Being able to have their vote count.
Wish.
Your whole shtick has
Hang
been,
on a second.
let's talk about what matters to voters. Do you really think voters care about the internecine primary process?
If you're a
of the
Democrat,
Party?
Do you think that the voters care about the primary process? They are supposed to be the whole reason why there are primaries. Why would you have primaries if not for the fact that constituents are going to vote? You don't need primaries if people's involvement. You just make a decision. These are supposed to be stockholders. It's a stockholders meeting.
Sure as hell care today.
I know that you are from Canada, but the primary process.
That's right. It's
there's the eliminator gate. All the birds, all the crows get to have a little cackle there. All the blackbirds, a little cackle.
In this
I have no
country,
skin in the game
it's
other
not
than
in
to
the
get a great
Constitution.
president.
It's not in the Constitution. The political parties can choose however they want to choose their nominee.
Right.
And as long as they meet the legal deadlines in the states where they are on the ballot, they can do it however they want.
But I
they
just,
can
I just want to be
decide
transparent.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Very strong woman. That's very fine, strong woman. What Kevin is saying is that, yes, they can do whatever the hell they want. Don't pretend that these are democratic organizations. I'm talking about, it's an adjective. Okay, like I said, there's the Democrat Party, and then there is democratic ways of doing things. They're not democratic organizations. So it's just it's such a mind fuck. Crazy, but good for him standing there in the line of fire like that, and not breaking a sweat. I'm not cut out for this kind of stuff. I like sitting here with you guys. I like doing what I do. I don't know. Maybe if I was baptized by fire a little bit more, and I spent a lot of time on television like Kevin O'Leary, and I give people like him a lot of credit.
Yes, I was born in Canada, but
December 2023 to just handpick somebody.
just to be transparent, I was born in Canada.
You don't have to have a primary. Looking around, trying to get approval from people, looking around side eye. And that's the kind of look right there. That's the look that you give people when you're in second grade and you're saying something and you want to make sure the people around you think you're funny. Looking for approval. Did I say the right thing? That's right? They don't even have to have a primary. Well, good. Yeah, that's a good admission right there. Because what Kevin's saying is there was no primary. They didn't have a primary. I guess you should just accept that. Okay? And what does that say about you to say, well, I didn't need to be a part of the decision process anyway. I just trust them. What does that say about you? Anyway, let's go back to that first witch. It's Hillary Clinton. She's on with who's this? Caitlin Collins, the one who looks like a velociraptor from Jurassic Park when it peeks its face out of the bush and kills Robert Muldoon. Listen to what she has to say. She still can't let go of James Comey.
What do you think Vice President Harris needs to do, in your view, to avoid a repeat?
To avoid a repeat of her loss. That's what she meant.
Vice President Harris needs to do, in your view, to avoid a repeat?
Well, first of all, I don't think she has Jim Comey in the wings waiting to kneecap her, so that's good.
Well, salty old bitch can't let go. Jim Comey. Oh, there just needs to be an excuse. He was never a legitimate president. The October surprise. No. People were onto Benghazi. They were onto the home server. They were onto this stuff. They were onto Podesta and everything. That entire year, it was growing, and we were putting 2 and 2 together, 3 and 3 together. Everybody could see what was happening. To think that she lost by 75 electoral college votes because a week before the election, they found, first of all, she would have deserved to, if it meant anything. But people's minds were already made up. If you went through that entire summer of being investigated, and the FBI trying like hell to get you off, to make sure that nobody's under oath, to make sure that you're not even there for questioning, they're not recording you under questioning, that they're giving everybody immunity involved with your campaign and your office, and it's ridiculous what they did to make sure that no pursuing of charges over damaged and lost evidence and subpoenaed evidence and everything. But after all that stuff, the FBI working overtime to put it all behind and just say, okay, fine, here you go. You got 3 weeks, just run to the finish line. Let's make you president, madam. For them to find all of that stuff, remember, on July 5th, 2016, when Jim Comey came out and listed a laundry list of crimes that would have you and me behind bars for multiple lifetimes. He didn't say that they weren't crimes. He said that he was not going to pursue any of those crimes, justice for any of those crimes. So he confirmed this was criminal behavior, even if it was just bad intent. It was just negligent behavior. It's still a crime. The fact that all of that stuff that constituted the crimes in his July 5th pronouncements showed up again in duplicate and triplicate on the laptop of a sex offender who had no right to be in possession of all that stuff. Later on that same summer, I mean, yeah, you should lose. If that was actually going to play, if that was actually going to sway voters, if they had any kind of decency, they would see, wow, this is messed up. I'm not voting for her. This is terrible. But that wasn't the case. People were already made up. It would have been, I believe that it is a scandal that is worthy of losing at least by 75 electoral college votes. But she just can't get off of it. This is about reminding people Donald Trump was never a legitimately elected person, because she's going out there on this fascism parade. It's all about fascism. He's meeting the legal definition of fascism. That the Madison Square Garden rally that's going on Sunday is going to be a repeat of the Nazi rally that was there back in the 1930s, which I think there's a decent chance that me and Matt might be going to that. I don't go to these types of things, but there's a decent chance we might be going to that thing. I don't know. We'll see how it all turns out. But fine, yeah, sure. It's a Nazi rally. I'm going. Can't wait to go to the Nazi rally. I don't even care anymore. Call it whatever you want, you saggy freaks.
And I'm very grateful for that. But I think she is doing what she needs to do. And in reporting from today, I think by CNN, a number of the voters who were at your town hall have said she convinced them, that she had shown the kind of empathy and concern about their problems, that she'd come forward with her ideas.
You see, there were people at the town hall on CNN that were on the fence. And after a night of incoherent fits of giggling, they're convinced now they're going to be voting for Kamala Harris. Just, I hate it. I wish it was Days of Our Lives. I wish it was Bold and the Beautiful. I wish it was General Hospital. I wish that this was all just a bad soap opera that we can change the channel and it has no effect on our lives altogether. Because there's only so much that you can ignore it. You have to at least know it's behind you. You have to know that it has influence on every nickel and dime that is attached to every receipt you receive, and the way that you have to present your entire life to the IRS at the end of every fiscal year. I mean, it is too relevant. Whether you accept its legitimacy or not, it's too relevant in our lives, and I hate it. Caitlin Collins, you fucking velociraptor, you. Look at you. You'll eat a cow alive, wouldn't you? You would just bite a cow's neck, rip its jugular out, wouldn't you? Show me your teeth. Yeah. All right, so now that was a practicing witch. That was one practicing witch. I'm sure she is the head of whatever coven that she belongs to. She probably went from the studio to Untermeyer Park and in Yonkers and sacrificed some cats and chickens. But here's another one for you. And this is the one that a few of you have already seen and said, Frank, are you going to cover this? Indeed, I am. Owen Gregorian put this out there. Witches complain that they can't cast spells on Trump because he has some kind of protection around him. Self-proclaimed Reddit witches are complaining that they are finding it difficult to cast negative spells on Donald Trump because he has some kind of protection around him. Yes, really. That's a quote. A post on the far-left website appears on the subreddit called Witches versus Patriarchy and features one of the witches bemoaning the fact that their spells aren't working on the Donald. Now, you can say that this is a LARP, but I'm telling you, when it comes to Reddit, 90% of the time that you think that this is too outrageous to be real, it actually is. It is so bad over there. Seriously. Most of the people on Reddit should be on some kind of a watch list. And lots of Klonopin. A post on the far left, right, blah, 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 blah. Some of the other witches have mentioned that doing spells, this is a quote, some of the other witches have mentioned that doing spells directly against Trump are not as effective as we might hope, as he seems to have some kind of protection around him, laments the witch. She suggested that casting a spell against against Project 2025 instead, a Heritage Foundation policy document that wasn't even created by the Trump campaign and which they have disavowed repeatedly. Well, that's, yeah. It's funny that they go and they take this. They say, we can't break through this impenetrable aura, this bubble that is built up around Donald Trump for somehow. But let's go and redouble our efforts against something that he actually has no connection to. So, of course, it's not going to hit him, but they need this Project 2025 thing, which we look through on air. And even though he, from the beginning said, I have nothing to do with it, I don't know why I know why they're upset. Me personally, I don't think it goes far enough. But here's a quote. I wouldn't give the Cheeto any more attention right now. He hates to be ignored, the witch adds, proving the opposite, that Trump lives in their deranged heads rent-free. The witch then encourages the rest of her coven to perform, quote, uplifting kinds of spells to help Kamala and the Democrats, which is presumably needed given their increasingly dire poll numbers. We can win this, the witch asserts, before asking that people don't share her username after she just posted under her username on a public forum. Unfortunately for her, the post later appeared on X and has received over 1.7 million views. Respondents speculated as to the source of the protection around Trump. And yeah. Now, I know that witches are supposed to do no harm, but that's not, we know what this is all about. We know what this is all about. It's about people who want to feel powerful, and they know they're not, and they're trying to find their place in the world, and it's a really, really sad thing here. But what do you think about that? Do you know any witches that have been trying to cast spells? I'd love to hear about it. I'm going to open up the lines. I'm going to open up the lines right now. Going to go on a really quick break, open up the lines, and here's what I want to take from you now. Anything you want to call in with, they're open. Wide open. You bring whatever you got. But there will be extra credit for ghost stories. Ghost stories, strange encounters, unexplained experiences, inside information, whatever the hell it is, as long as it's strange and it gets us some goosebumps popping up. I would also like to ask you about strange old houses. And if you are living in a rural area in particular, I want to know something from you. Do you live near an abandoned, dilapidated rural house? Because I love driving through upstate New York, even down south, Carolinas. That's where a lot of, most of the time I spend when I do go down south is in the North and South Carolina. But whenever it's a rural area, it's all the same thing that I see. And I want to know about you guys and gals who actually live in these neighborhoods, I guess you can call it. So many houses that you don't know if they're occupied or not. Sometimes there's a car out front that looks to be like it could be operational, but the house itself really looks like nobody's there. It's all messed up. It hasn't, the shingles are all screwy. There might even be a broken window or two. It looks like nobody is there. But you can't be totally sure if someone is living at this house, if it's abandoned, until you drive by at nighttime. And that's what I like doing whenever we're up in the Adirondacks in October, is that during the day we go around Minerva and North Creek and Olmstedville and Pottersville and all those places up there just to get things that we need. We're going to get groceries. We're going to some rock cave or whatever, just local things, just being out and about. And you get to see all these places in the daytime. It's like, oh, I wonder who's in there. Oh, I know that this one's abandoned. That one's definitely abandoned. And then you go out for dinner one night. You make yourself a reservation like we do from time to time. We'll go out for a reservation. On the way driving back home, I always like to pay special attention to all the houses that we pass then, because then we'll really know if there's nobody in there. And let me tell you, that's when you really know for sure, because that is when you can drive by a house that you were convinced was empty. It was an empty husk. It had no life inside of it. And it still looks like that, except for there is a faint blue flickering light of a television coming from just one room. And I'm just like, who the hell is in there? What the hell is life like? What are they watching? What the hell? It is so uncomfortable. But in a, I don't know. It's spooky. It's strange. I would never want to be, I don't know. I need to know about it. The other thing there, too, is I know all about suburban and urban clutter and mess. But the clutter on properties in rural areas is I think it's like 10 times more strange, because I just wonder why. Like, the houses just turn into junkyards. And it'll be right next to a house that is perfectly manicured property. Like, someone really takes a lot of care in it. And then right next door, it's a junkyard. There's a couple of broken down cars. Yeah, maybe they're trying to harvest parts over the course of 30 years or something like that. But it's other weird things. Like, there'll be a torn bed sheet. A torn bed sheet will be flapping in the wind or something. Rural clutter is very strange. So I want to know if you live next to an abandoned house. And I want to know what life is like. Like, do people ever go in there? Because I always wondered, if I was ever homeless, like, I was really desperate for some shelter, I might go, upstate New York, and I can just squat in one of those houses, form friends with like a raccoon family or something. At least it's a roof. It seems like every other house is abandoned. So let me know if that's something around you, and especially if it has a spooky twist to it. Bring it my way. We will be right back.
I never met the man in person, but I interviewed him for countless hours on the radio. I was very fortunate, and we became close friends, and I don't think you could listen to Malachi and not have a strong opinion one way or the other. He was aware of the full contents of the third secret of Fatima, and he shared some of those that I cannot share with you or anybody because I promised. What he did say, if you want something chilling, is that try and imagine the very worst thing that you can imagine. We live now in the day of ISIS and terrorism and people getting burned alive. And so he said, imagine the very worst you can imagine. And then I will tell you that it's going to be much worse than that. So there are many things like that he said to me that will never leave my mind and will probably worry me to the grave.
I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding, and even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, of good or evil, right or wrong. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up, because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
Okay, let's see. Let's just take some calls here. 914-200-0269. What do you think? What do you think? What do you say? Give me a buzz and let me know. It's Friday night now. I'm just really throwing it into your I'm throwing it into your lap. Give me a buzz and let me know what you think. I have a couple of really spooky stories that were sent my way that I want to put up. That I'll put up to you in, I don't know, right now. Take a listen to this one. This is from Christopher. I don't know. This might be the only one we can get in, depending on who calls. My girlfriend, you know what, hold on. My girlfriend won a raffle, and the prize was weekend at this log cabin way out in the mountains of North Carolina. And I'm talking not another house in sight. It was very rustic, beautiful 2-bedroom log cabin. It was cool as hell and a little spooky. Anyhow, it's Friday, and a couple of friends were with us, so we had a nice dinner and drinks and joints, and it was really chill. Eventually, my girl and me go to bed. We were worn out, so we just killed the lights and passed out immediately. In a solid sleep, I started having this dream that there was a shadowy, very evil-looking demon that was standing at the foot of my bed looking at us sleeping. I could see it was incredibly vivid. From a dead sleep and dreaming, this is I am wakened by my girlfriend's fingernails squeezing into my arm and screaming and crying in pure fear. Wake up, wake up, wake up, there's someone in here. I scrambled out of the bed real quick like in a panic, and adrenaline fully kicked in and found the light switch on the wall. It took a second as it was pitch black. The entire time, which seemed like forever, I could hear her screaming and crying in the pitch black. I got the light on and nothing in sight. She's still tripping, demanding I look everywhere in the room. We had woken up everyone in the house, and we all searched the entire house, which is not that big, and found nothing. Once I calmed down a bit, I asked her if she was dreaming anything. I told her that I was dreaming. I told her what I was dreaming, and honest to God, she absolutely refused, in tears, to tell me what she was dreaming. To this day, she's an ex-girlfriend, but we are friends and talk occasionally, and she still refuses to tell me what she had dreamt that night. Hands down, the scariest thing that happened to me. Needless to say, none of us went back to sleep that night. We stayed one more night, and Sunday morning we were all ready to get out of there. Okay, thanks for your time. Hope that you like that one. Gut. His name is Gut. So, by God. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead. Hello?
Hi.
Hey, who's this?
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Let me tell you off the speakers.
Thank you.
Yes, this is Sandy.
Good to have you on.
Yes. About the ghost stories?
Yes.
Scary stuff. I grew up in a neighborhood that had, I know of personally, about 6 houses that were just crazy. Like, you would see apparitions, things would move, you would get touched. And my house, I was about 17 or 18.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents had went to the beach by themselves. I don't blame them, you know. And I stayed at home to take care of the house and the critters. And I get home from work. I worked at Papa John's, so it was pretty late at night. And my house was pretty active. Like, you know, things would grab you. Like, I'd had my hair grabbed in the middle of the night sleeping and stuff, you know, doors opening, rocking chairs moving, that kind of stuff.
Jeez.
As soon as I walked in the house, from getting off of work, all of a sudden I just hear this voice saying, "Get out." And I was like, I just had this feeling of dread and fear, and I got to run now.
Wait. At this point, how long had you been living in the house?
My entire life. I've been living with this nonsense, like seeing shadows and
you were
being touched.
And you were what, like at this? How old were you about at this point?
17, 18 years old.
So after about 17 or 18 years of living in this house and having things get moved, some poltergeist activity, things are getting moved, you're getting your hair pulled, all that. After 17, 18 years, you're finally told just to get out.
Yeah, it was like my parents weren't home, and like that there was an old man, and I seen him, and my sister lived right behind us, and her house was messed up too. And she would see the same old farmer man, and he had overalls, a plaid shirt, a straw hat on. And it felt like he was the good spirit and he protected us. But just for whatever reason, I walked in that night. You know, this was my first time being home alone without my parents anywhere, you know, not coming home for a few days. And just something just rushed over. It was get out. And I picked up the cordless phone and called basically my second mom, who lived right around the corner, my mom's best friend. And I told her what happened. She's like, "Come over here." And I got in my car and went around the corner and went there. And about 2 weeks after that, I went over the fence to my sister's house. We were going to, you know, she was like, "Hey, come over. We're having, you know, people over. We're going to play some board games, blah, blah, blah." As soon as I walked into her back door, the same thing kind of happened. Like, I got rushed with a feeling, and I got kind of a little, you know, knocked back a little bit, and something said, "Get out."
This is
And
another person's house, though. Now.
Yeah, that's my sister's house, like right behind my house.
Okay, so it must be. I wonder if it used to be one continuous plot of land that was split up at one point. I wonder.
It probably was. I believe it was, because it was like tract housing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all at one point just one big plot of land.
Too bad the good farmer didn't come to your aid, and that'd be great if you had the good farmer show up every once in a while to do battle with the other one.
Well, I think he was there most of the time, because I lived there for 21 years, and only a couple of really bad, scary things happened.
And when you left,
my sister's,
when you left all this, nothing ever followed you into your life away from that location, right?
Yeah, it has.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
So how have you remedied this?
Yeah. A little bit. I've been trying to strengthen my faith and talk to God more, and just it gets worrisome sometimes, because at my house now that I live at, I have a 15-year-old son, and I'm a truck driver. I'm only home every now and then now, but at this point I was stay at home, and he had a friend over. I had a cat that wanted to get out, and I got up to let the cat out. And at my front door, I can see into the living room. And I seen my son sitting on the ottoman playing the game, and he just turned around and just stared at me. And I said, "Why aren't you shouldn't you be asleep?" And he didn't say anything, and I was just like, okay, whatever. And I went back to bed.
So what happened?
The next morning, I asked him, I was like, "Why were you up at this time of the night?" And him and his friend both said, "We were both asleep at that time." So it was something there looking just like my son.
Get out of here.
Sitting on the ottoman.
Yeah.
That freaks me out.
So last question then is this. Now you're in a new location. You have your 15-year-old son there, and you have some kind of a, I don't know, ghostly doppelganger that is kind of juking you out in the middle of the night. Has he had any personal experience with this, or is this just still something that kind of, tickles you every once in a while?
It's just something that kind of fucks with me.
Okay. Well, listen, at least there's that. And I hope you're able to finally cut the cord on this damn thing eventually. But thank you for the call.
Yes. Wow. And I keep praying, and I love your show. God bless you, Frank, and your family, and all the Franklies.
Hey, you know what? Get in touch with Bill Bean. He would get on the phone with you in a heartbeat.
Oh, would he?
In a heartbeat.
Because I feel like just a small fry.
No.
Jay Guglielmo has helped me with my diet out here on the truck. But Bill Bean, okay, yes, I will reach out to him, definitely.
Hey, why the hell not? Why? I mean, listen, and thank you for the call. When we had all these tech problems over here, I said, Bill, listen, I'm replacing my entire studio technologically. This was back in January, February. I said, can you please exercise this place? I don't care. I want to know. I want to I called in all the banners. I haven't had too many problems since. Then again, I replaced everything in this, every appliance. So I don't know. Maybe I bought myself some time. Definitely call Bill Bean, please. Let me know how it goes. All right. We're going to do more of that in just a little bit. I'm going to take a quick intermission. Here's, actually, you know what? We'll do one more. 703. Jules?
Yes, it's me. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's good to hear from you. You're my last call before the quick intermission break.
Okay, well, I'll make it quick. I had just moved up to a new area in Northern Virginia because I was down from the Virginia Beach area, and I had met a girl, and she's like, "Hey, come along. We're all going to this haunted house thing out in the woods." And so I was in my 30s at this point, so I was trying to be, bravado of "Oh yeah, that'll be fine. Let's go. And of course we were all stoned. And when we got to the parking lot, everybody's having a good time. We're all, being stupid. And as I stepped out of the car, I could hear a chainsaw going. in the woods
Oh.
somewhere.
Oh, no.
And I was, you could hear, and you could hear girls screaming and whatnot. And I just stood there, and they're like, okay, come on. And I was like, I'm not going. And so this girl was so mad at me, and the other girls, they were friends of friends. They're like, what'd you bring her on for? She's so lame. I actually, I wouldn't go. I'm like, I'm not going. They're like, well, we're going to leave you out here. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. And I do believe I probably even started crying. And they're like, let's just go home if she's just going to be a big party pooper.
Oh, shit.
But I was terrified. I mean, have you ever gone someplace like that and you hear the chainsaw going? And
No.
It's pitch black. I'm like, well,
What was the
where are
mission?
they?
What was the mission again? Why go into the woods again?
They had like a haunted forest set up.
Oh, so then maybe
you go into the haunted houses and whatnot. Yeah, it was a haunted forest, and they talked about like, oh, it's no big deal. And I'll tell you what, when I stepped out of that car and heard just the whine of the saw, I was like,
Okay, so so then is this one of those attractions where they have the actors there to jump at you and scare you and stuff?
Yes.
Okay, so they probably had a leather face in the
of course.
Yeah, with a chainless chainsaw. Still, to hear that coming from the woods, to hell with that. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
It was terrifying, and so it was years ago, but I'm thinking none of us went, but I knew everybody was, as we rode back in the car, I knew everybody was mad at me. They're like, what's wrong with you? But I was wasted out of my mind. So I was like,
Listen,
Julie's not doing that.
The hell with it. Okay, what's wrong with you? Well, hey, you know what? I guess next time you go around, you just know who to invite. My friends, Mike and Matt and our buddies Phil and a few others, and when they were doing all of the ghost hunting and stuff, they would do paranormal investigations into some local whatchamacallit, insane asylums, things like that. Like they went to Letchworth and a few other places that were all boarded up. So these places are crazy. These old hospitals and shit. They're dangerous. They're spooky. There's all types of stuff in there. But they knew just all right. You guys are going without me. Yeah. I think Anthony went once, and then he was just like, no more. So
I was like, I can't do that. And anyway, I didn't make many friends that evening.
That's all right. It's all right. Well, thank you, Jules. That's a survival instinct that kicked in for you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, have a good evening. We'll talk later.
Absolutely will. Take care. The World Series about to kick off over there in Los Angeles. It's 8 o'clock on the East Coast, and first pitch will be soon. Anyway, let's go on a really quick intermission. Oh, before we go to intermission, here's what we have on the After Hours tonight. Paul Joseph Watson. So as soon as this show ends, go to quitefrankly.tv and hang out. Paul Joseph Watson. Leftists react to Trump working at McDonald's. Steve Turley. Trump surging everywhere. Patrick Bet-David talking about whether or not celebrity endorsements work. David Knight. Has the AI war begun? Grace, really graceful, the elephant in the room. 10-second songs. Anthony. It's funny that John Carroll put this in there. Anthony just did a cover of Everybody, the Backstreet's Back, the Backstreet's Boys song, in the style of Typo Negative. And he told me he was doing this, and when he released it yesterday, he sent it to me. And it's so awesome because I didn't realize, I started realizing, oh my gosh, the Backstreet Boys, the lead line on that, and the music from Typo Negative's Everything Dies is really very similar. It was so perfect. And the fact that somebody said, hey, match these two up, and they had songs, I don't know, maybe I'll bring it up for you as soon as I get back. Anyway, really quick intermission, 90 seconds, don't go anywhere.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out to press the like button. Thank you.
Quite frankly. Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly. Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly. Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly, guys.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
Quite frankly.
So everybody watch. Quite frankly. With Frank.
quite frankly.
How dare you?
This is all done in the next room over. So, oh, listen. I said, oh, it's perfect. It fits perfect. Because where's the? I went and I grabbed the Backstreet Boys now here. Here's the line right around here. You remember this?
Backstreet's back, all right.
No, how hot.
You get me all hot. Lick my coffin.
Anyway, there's that. And now here is, it's like the opening of Everything Dies on World Coming Down. Hold on. It's perfect. And they did it so good. I said, it's a no-brainer. It's really a no-brainer. That's some good. So hats off to Anthony. Oh, he always does a good job mashing these things up. So there we have it. Okay, let's see. The line is open, 914-200-0269. We've got a couple of I've got a couple of things in here. Next week I got to put in the military paranormal experiences. We got a few of those coming in. C Blanche, thank you. Atwee. The lines are open, just keep calling. Let me see. Here's one. 479, you're on the air. Go right ahead.
Hey, Frank, this is Brad. How you doing?
Brad, welcome to heaven.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Great. I wanted to talk about an experience I had it was probably close to 2 years ago. It happened here. This is at my dad's place.
Okay, but please listen, Brad, we have to hit all the best points, the quickest, and put it into a nice nutshell. We can't do 10 minutes.
Sure, no problem.
Okay.
I was coming home from work, and I had 2 pieces of pizza. That one I had ate on the way home. The other I'd gotten halfway through, and just wasn't going to be able to finish it. So I was going to take it outside and throw it to the animals. And we got critters that come at night sometimes, and they'll eat our food that we throw out for them. So as I was walking out the front door, my dad's got these motion lights down along the driveway, and when you cross the beam, it triggers them, and the lights turn on for like 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened was I was walking out the door. This is about maybe 11:30 at night, and I was walking out the front door with this piece of pizza in my hand, and the light sensors went off. Now, I didn't think nothing of it because this happens, throughout the night sometimes. So, but the lights were shining out across the street, and we've got a bunch of woods there. Now, when someone crosses that beam, it's going to cast a shadow along that wood line across the street. And this happened, and it just kicked me out because I'm thinking as I walk out the front door, 11:30, I was totally convinced someone was coming up the driveway. It had cast a shadow. There was like a small shadow that ran up first, and it was probably something about equivalent to the size of a dog, but I couldn't really make it out. the second shadow was a lot bigger, and it started out as just this big black mass, but then it started to take shape. And what really freaked me out about it was it had formed the shadow of my dad. And he was walking, because he's got a certain way that he walks, because he's old in his hips.
And did your father have a dog that you grew up with?
No, that's what was really weird about it. But he was like he was going out to get the mail and coming back up the driveway. It was going from left to right. That's the that was being cast. And I was totally freaked because I thought someone was coming up the house. And I almost turned around and went back in the house. But I said, no, I'm going to figure out what this is. So I kind of walked along the sidewalk that kind of went around to our driveway, and there was nothing there. When I came to the driveway, there was nobody there. So I took this piece of pizza, and I'm thinking, okay, my mind's saying to myself, it had to have been an animal or something. But, you know, my mind couldn't convince what my eyes saw. So I took that piece of pizza, and I'm saying to myself, okay, well, if this is an animal, I throw this piece of pizza up and it hits the ground, you're going to hear a bunch of scurrying. Well, I threw that piece of pizza up and it came and it landed flat down, and there was no wind or anything, but there was no sound after that thing hit either. So I was pretty convinced that, you know, it had manifested into a form of something. My dad's still alive. So
That's
you know,
it's okay. So that's a very interesting one, Brad. Hey, maybe the pizza is one of the slices that came from Dusseldorf. Maybe there was something in the pizza. You never know. it could be that. Maybe it wasn't you.
Well,
but
it came from Casey's. They got a gas station down here.
Okay, the Casey's is legit. I know about Casey's. Anyway,
okay.
No, Brad, thank you for that call, because that's, man, I pay attention to yard lights all the time and cameras and all that stuff. So to consider that, again, thanks for the call, to consider that, to have, and because some of these yard lights, the halogens, they go on and boom, they're casting a lot of light. They're splashing a lot of light over a lot of area. And to have those shadows be cast, but there'd be no discernible objects upon which the light was being shown to create those shadows. Whew. What the hell? What the hell? Yeah, I don't know. So that's something. Let's take another call. 972, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, Frank, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Who's this?
This is Doug.
Hello, Doug.
Hey, bunch of Texas. I'll make it quick. A bunch of Texas boys back in the late 80s, early 90s, loaded up 40 or 50 of us, and we went and jumped a picket line up in White Plains, New York. They were paying us $40 an hour to come up there.
Okay.
And so we find out that we're working, or we're staying at the old R.J. Reynolds Tobacco King's estate. I'm talking about the one that was built like in 1820 something.
Mm-hmm.
It's got 7 staircases in it. It's got a horse barn, stone fencing, all that stuff. Well, they converted all the horse barns into little hotel rooms for the guys. They closed them off, made little apartments for us. Well, at night, we would go over there and hang out in the old mansion. This is a huge mansion. Had a fireplace in there you could park a Volkswagen in. Well, we had logs in there and we're burning a fire. Well, earlier in the day, I had been up in that attic, or one of the attics, and they had these balls hanging from the attic top of the roof. And they were in wire mesh, and they were glass, like light bulbs, but they were the diameter of a softball.
Mm-hmm.
But they were shaped like a light bulb. And I guess they exploded when the fire reached them, and it put the fire out. Old style fire extinguishers. Well, I had 3 of them laying there. You know, I had took down, I was going to collect them. And we were all sitting around drinking cold beer in the evening, just enjoying ourselves. And somebody picked up one of those and threw it into the fire. And there'd already been rumors about this place being haunted. But what happened when they threw that fire extinguisher into this roaring, huge fire, and I'm talking about 8 foot wide by, it's a huge fire, and is fog covered the whole entire floor about 4 or 5 feet deep. And we started going throughout the house, so it started dropping and getting lower, but not very quick. And I'm talking about it was up to us like chest deep in this fog.
And it emanated from the fire, or just a fog came creeping in?
It just came emanating from the fire. It just, whatever that liquid was, instantly put that fire out, but it also created all of this fog, which I've found out later in life. It removes the oxygen from the air.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it displaces, it's heavier, it creates some kind of gas, and that gas smothers out the fire because it starves it of oxygen. I didn't know what this was at the time. It's just spooky as hell because the only light we had in there was that fire at that time.
Well, then so far it seems like you were just in a spooky location and you triggered some sort of a chemical reaction you weren't expecting.
Bingo.
So it wasn't actually haunted. It was just a
hold on. That's not the hold on. This is where it gets good.
Okay, let's get to it.
All right. So we all just, the smoke starts dropping and getting lower, but there's still 3 silhouettes standing there all together with this fog. They're like whole bodies, and they have the shape of a body standing there. But that's it. We're out of there. There's like 6 or 8 of us in there. We take off running and we haul ass out of the place and we run out.
So they only appear. These things. You didn't even conceive of them until the fog was there. Like they were only visible in the fog.
In the fog, right?
Oh.
Well, when we get outside, one of us is missing, and we're looking. It's been 5, 6, 7 minutes. We're like, we kind of join hands, like 3 or 4 of us. The rest of them are like, I ain't going back in there. We go back in there with a flashlight, and we're looking, and it's still about 2 feet deep of this fog everywhere. And we can't find, we're calling his name, Derek. We can't find him anywhere. And we bump into him. He's down on the ground. And so we grab him and get him up and get him outside. And all we can figure out is that he got knocked over when everybody ran out the house. And we got him outside. He was almost dead.
Well,
because he was laying in that fog, lack of oxygen.
I was going to say he was probably asphyxiated in some way by that shit that you guys had blasted on yourself. That's nuts. So this is a good call. Thank you so much for this, because this one is one unlike I've ever heard before. Where you're in a strange location, you're doing a job, you're finding some time to hang out. It has a reputation. It's a little bit creepy. But you trigger a chemical reaction that is in itself dangerous, and in the course of the chaos, you have 3 ghostly figures that appear to you in the middle of the smoke. Strange. Strange indeed. Let me take a couple of calls. A couple of moments for these super chats. Thank you, C. Blanche. Atwee says, OMG, that 10-second song Backstreet Boys typo was amazing. I said, man, good for you. Good for you with this. This is a good one. Really is. Thank you for taking my call, Atwee says. You always answer when I do call. Slap those cheeks. You're all gay. Incredible. Thank you so much. All right. Over on, quite frankly, superchat.com. We've got Shotzi says, have a great weekend, Frank and Franklies. Thank you. Jay Britt says, Frank, thanks for another great week of fun, entertainment, and information. P.S. Cool shirt. I've had this one for I don't know how many years now. I don't know how many years. It's a lot of years, but it's very comfortable. It's a very comfortable shirt. I love it. And it fits well. Cody says, I feel like Hillary Clinton is jealous of Job from the Bible, mad because she can only be possessed by demons instead of Satan himself. Nasty woman. Interesting take there, Cody. And John Volt says, will the Trump deranged Mellencamp write a new song called Frank and Diane? Give Diane another shout out for me. Made me smile. Diane. I'm going to be able to write Diane every month. Right, Diane? See if she writes me back. Okay, let's see. Some good stuff after hours. I also have some great questions that came in from Patreon and Subscribestar, but I might keep those for next week just so we can stay on target a little bit here. 914-200-0269. Let's see. King, do you have a spooky story?
I guess you could kind of consider it spooky, right? So I know I get, and I know everybody gets a lot of spam calls. I'll get calls from my area code, and then I'll pick it up, and it'll be some hootie, shabooty, doody going, hello, my name is Steve. And I'm like, no, the fuck it ain't. So one morning I'm sleeping, right? Phone's constantly ringing. I'm looking over. It's all these area codes, and I'm like, I know these are spams. I ain't picking it up. So I'm trying to get sleep, and then phone rings again. I look at the motherfucking caller ID, and it says Trump National. And I says, I gotta answer this. I gotta see what's going on. Figuring it's somebody fucking with me, spamming me. And the guy goes, hello, is this Santino Spinelli? I say, yeah, it's me. Who's this? This is such and such guy from Trump National Headquarters. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. You serious? You messing with me? He goes, no, sir, I'm not. He says, the president wanted me to call you. I'm like, get out of here. He goes, no, sir, I'm serious. We have a list of all the donations you've made to the campaign since 2016. And you have stuck with us since then. When times got dark, you never wavered. You always stuck with us. And he started reading off the amounts of my donations, and so I knew he was real. And he said, the president just wanted me to call you and thank you for all your support over the years.
Well, how?
Yeah, motherfuckers, I'm bragging.
That's. Have you been to a rally yet?
Yeah, in Manchester, New Hampshire, but we weren't able to get in. It was just so packed. Me and Rosie went. We were able to hang out outside and stuff like that, but we didn't actually get into the event because it was full to capacity.
Man, I should, I should have gotten in touch with you and see if you wanted to go to MSG. Can you imagine you, me, and Matt going to MSG for the Nazi rally?
Oh my God, that'd be amazing, man.
Shit, I didn't even think about that. Anyway, that's
what are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's a great story. We'll find other things to do, I'm sure. But thanks for calling in, man.
Thank you, man.
All right, take care. There you go. All right, 985. You're on the air. Virginia, is that you?
Yes, it is.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I have a spooky story.
Please.
It was several years ago. My niece is now, I think, in her 40s, but she was 3 years old at the time. We went to Jamestown, Virginia. And if you've ever been there, they have this old church that they're refurbishing, but you can look down on the sides of the church and see what the base was. And they've built like a structure on top of it. Well, I was holding her hand and my husband was holding her other hand. And we went to walk into this church and she stopped and she threw her arms out and she says, I'm not going in there with all those people. And my husband and I looked at each other. We looked. There was no one in the church. Not anybody. And we just kept looking at him. We said, come on, baby. It's okay. Come on. There's nobody here. And she said, no, I'm not going in there with all those people.
Well,
So
listen, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Yeah, we stopped and we went around the side of the church and then we looked back in and there was still no one in the church. But she swore, and to this day she says, I saw people in that church.
Wow. Like in the pews? What? Like, was it a full congregation?
Yes, like they were holding service.
Wow. And to this day, she has memory of it, huh?
Oh yeah. She was still. I mean, she was quite young, but she was still, I guess, old enough to have. And we talked about it over the years too. But she remembers it. She said, "Oh, I wasn't going in there." She said, "No way."
Wow. Well, hey, that's
But it was quite a chilling experience. My husband and I both got goosebumps.
Yeah, well, listen, those are the types of things that, I mean, we get that with our pets. I mean, there's nothing like the attention of a dog or a cat that will ruin all of your good, relaxing vibes at 1 o'clock in the morning. All of a sudden, they are just fixated on something. You pray that it's a beetle or something like that.
What are you staring at?
What are you staring at? And they look at you concerned, and they look back at it, and you're like, you son of a bitch. What are you staring? Like, talk to me, And they don't answer. Oh, gosh. Anyway,
she was adamant about not going in that church. But, they do say that sometimes children can pick up on things that we don't see.
Yeah. No, I heard it. I definitely hear that a lot, and I always pay extra special attention to, Aurora, and I sometimes you just know babbling is babbling, but other times I like to inquire a little bit more just to see. Anyway, thank you for the call. That was a great story.
All righty, bye bye.
Yeah, it's very hard to deny that there's something else going on. You say, what is it? If there's an entire congregation of people that are there inside of a church and they're ghosts, like, what is that? Is that just a recording? When you say it's residue, what does that mean? Are they there? Is there any kind of conscious motion in that? Or is it just like a broken record? Is it just a broken record of people that were there? Did they all die there? Because you wonder, okay, well, there's a farmer in my house. He must have lived here sometime before. Or something happened. There's a whole family of ghosts in my house. You realize that there was like a barn that burned down in 1878 or something. But when a little kid sees people inside of a church, attending service, why the hell are they all there at the same time? Do they have any kind of conscious will in that state to go and gravitate to that church to stay there? Did they all meet their demise elsewhere? What does that mean? Say, it doesn't exist. It's all demonic. No, that doesn't pass the sniff test for me. Can't just write it off. There's something else going on there. Okay. Doughboy says, straight up men. Straight up men? I don't. Who's that? What is that? The roving. What's the clan of people, Doughboy, that are going around looking for something? I forget. No, that's like a call from a month or so ago. My memory is not serving me well. 405, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
What is it? Hi, this is Alex.
Hello, Alex. Just kill that stream in the background, please.
Oh, I am so sorry. I apologize.
It's okay.
So I think you're telling spooky stories or something, or personal spooky stories or something like that?
Yes. Anything.
Awesome. Okay. Not as spooky as the last lady. She said it so well. So I'll try to say it as best as I can without sounding too dorky. So, but I was 11, and I was so happy. I got away from my sister. Was so happy. Got my own room. Finally get independent and everything. And then also I was also a freaking paranoid kid too. So my parents put a deadbolt on my lock or on my door for me and stuff. So, everybody's going to bed and head into my room and got ready and laid down and everything. And I think karma hit me because I was messing with my sister that day and freaking her out about stuff. I can't remember exactly what, but laid down, finally went to bed. Some reason, I don't know why, and I don't even have it's an open closet. It's just a thing that holds clothes on the wall. So I don't even have a closed closet. Everything's open in my room. Tiny, tiny little room that I grew up in. And turnover, for some reason, I thought my eyes were closed, but I could see everything. And the next thing I know, looking over where my clothes are hung up on the wall, and I see this like porcelain doll face. And I closed my eyes and I denied everything. I swear to you, don't know.
A porcelain doll face staring back at you from in between the hanging
But
clothes.
my eyes were closed, though. That's what's even more freaky. I remember distinctly, like, closing my eyes, but it was like I never closed my eyes. My room was still there. The face started coming. I'm getting goosebumps. The face started coming towards me, and I thought it was all fake. You know, it was just all in my head, and then I started screaming, and my dad actually started trying to bust down the door. So that's when I knew it was all not in my head. And he's like, "You have to open the door. Come open the door." And so eventually, after probably a minute of me freaking out and everything, I finally opened the door. The face was gone. Turned on the light, and my dad's scared half to death because his 11-year-old daughter is like screaming.
Aside from this, because that stuff like that, I'll tell you, I think anybody who watches anybody who's out there watching right now has probably had a situation where you are in a confusing state that kind of mixes the real world with the dream world, and a lot of it can just be the subconscious in a dream state.
Yes. I have to totally agree because I have very vivid imagination as an 11-year-old, you know. So, but my dad said I was yelling, and I was like,
yes, but has it happened? Hold on, Alex. Has it happened again since, or is this just one time?
No, that's what's freaky. But what's even more scary, I wish I could remember, is that house is it's an old farmhouse in Oklahoma. And so there's lots of history there, lots of stuff. Okay. And my brother I wish I could remember, but he's seen so many scary stuff in that house. And they would tell better stories, but that was my personal experience in that house.
Listen, a ghost, and thank you for I hope this is the first of many calls, as I always say, and I always mean it. I hope.
No, I'm sorry.
Call in.
I'm not blabber.
No. This is what we wanted tonight. Thank you for the call. I mean, listen, having a ghostly porcelain face staring out at you from your closet is not fun, whether it is just a dream world happening or something else. Thankfully for her, I think that she doesn't have anything to worry about. Because I've had weird things like that happen to me where it's just, was it a dream? It's back and forth. It's strange. It is. But if it's not following you to other states, like our other caller with the dueling ghost farmers, that's something else, man. That's something else altogether. Okay, let's see. Let me see. I'm going to save this for the next week. Save that for the next week. Here's one from Nake. A super chat. This actually came from Patreon, I think, earlier on. It says, Nake, says, Frank, I'm a woman of 66 years old, and I often wonder the breakdown of age groups who watch and listen to your show. I think my age group is well represented. I think so. Listen, metrics is tough. The metrics are tough because it's there's so many different websites. Now, if I go to YouTube, I have YouTube up. This is just one place. They have good metrics. Spotify is starting to give good metrics. Rumble is pretty basic bitch, but hopefully we'll get more on that. Here's what I got on YouTube. Age and gender views the last 28 days. I am male skewed, 58.3% male versus 41.4% female. Nobody age 13 to 17 watches me unless they're watching with their parents. 18 to 24 is 1.2%. That's got to change. Got to figure something out. I'm waiting for them. They're coming up because watch, 25 to 34 years old is 11.3. That's starting to grow. I'm telling you, the older Zoomers, they're starting to come into their own. I just got to maintain, and I'm going to catch all of them into a big vat. But 35 to 44 is 24%. 45 to 54 is 23.8%. 55 to 64, 23.5%. And then 65 plus is 16%. Still decent. But 35 to 64 is the lion's share. It's the lion's share. And that's for everything. That's for video views. That's for shorts, which if I go just to shorts, that's when I'll actually start breaking into 18 to 24 a lot more because the younger people are watching a lot more shorter, quicker videos. And then live is usually skewed a lot more toward, like, yeah, well, if I go to just live metrics, 65 plus is 21.2%. It goes from 16 to 21. You know, like to watch live a lot more. Anyhow, that's what we've got. I hope that satisfies your curiosity. That's at least on YouTube. And again, metrics are just, they're just what they are. All right, let's take a call. 631, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Oh, hi, Frank. This is Cam.
Hey, Cam, you there?
How me?
Can you hear me?
Can you?
Okay, Cam, you got some stuff going on there. You're cutting in and out. I'm sorry. Maybe try back in a little bit. Let's see. 541, you're on the air. It's 8:35. We're doing a couple of more. How you doing?
What up, Frankie?
Who's this?
Brian.
Doughboy, how are you?
Doughboy. You know, just that guy, you know. Real quick, I got two super short ones. So take fucking 45 seconds.
Okay.
So, one, my kid, he just turned 5. When he was a baby up until like 2, and he was in his crib where we were at, his grandfather had passed away before he was born. And on his baby monitor, dude, like people were talking about, you know, how kids can see stuff or whatever. His baby monitor, not shitting you, dude, like every once a week or so, there would be a consistent like orb floating around. And at first, like my ex would be like, look at that. I'm like, shut up, dude. You know, and then it was just a consistent thing that went over and over and over. And then this next one's a little bit more funny.
Yeah, but what about but that's all to that story?
What's that?
Is that the end of that story?
I'm just making this shit quick.
So yeah, but so just one day the orb stopped popping up on screen?
Oh no, it's always been there. And he would like look at it up and down and stuff, and it freaked me out for a long time. But it was never anything like nothing really, you know, seemed to be fine.
I'll tell you, man, baby monitors. Lauren and I talk about this all the time. I'm happy that our baby monitor does not have a record option. It's just strictly a monitor because I would be way too tempted to just scan through the entire night just to see if anything weird happened. And if I saw something weird, it would ruin my entire. I don't know. That would be fucked up.
It was it was interesting, dude. Just because like you said at first, you know, you're like, oh shit, like my kid, you know, oh my god, like what's going on? And then you kind of get to the point where you're like, well, I mean, is what it is, you know.
Yeah.
But it is a trip, like watching them like point at it around the room and stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second thing, so my great grandma, she had a house in Victoria, Texas, like old house, like from the 1800s, and you know, a lot of family had lived there and had died and passed there and stuff. And there was this one, I can't remember what family member it was. It was like a great, you know, grandfather or whatever, a mint, straight up mint, like that one of those, you know. And he goes, he was, I guess, supposedly a ghost in the house, and he would only mess with the chicks. And like, so anytime they were up on the second story, they would like feel their ass get pinched and stuff like that.
Wow.
Just, dude, and then the other thing, or they'd be sleeping, and then it would be like, they would like feel wiggles on their toes, you know, and they'd wake up and like see this just dude standing there, you know, with a little briefcase or whatever, and you know, is what it is, dude.
Well,
who knows?
That right there is not that's not something that I mean, sometimes it'll make you giggle. You say, "What the hell? This guy's even whoever he was," but paranormal sexual assault is a very rich subject of conversation. There is a lot of testimony about men and women. We had, damn it, this had to be about 3-4 years ago, something. It might have been pre-COVID. And it, I know that we did a story about, I think it was somebody that got sexually assaulted by a ghost in their dorm room. That they thought it was, dude, I'm telling you, paranormal sexual assault, it is not a joking matter. There is a lot of people who are serious about this. that that there is sexual attention being paid to them by disembodied somethings. And
it's like, what do you do? There's nothing they can do.
I know.
You
can't fight them off.
Yeah, no, it's gnarly, dude.
So I'm gonna have to look into this one a little bit more. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
man.
no, I appreciate your time, man. Keep your, as always, eyes out for the RBB, that Raging Boner Brigade.
The Raging
Head on
Boner.
a swivel. You got to make sure you're all set, ready to go, fend them off.
That's
but
what
you have
it
a good
was.
night, buddy.
You got it, man. Take care. The Raging. I was trying to figure out what the hell the brigade's name was. The Raging Boner Brigade. I don't know. Let's see. The weekend has just begun. A lot going on this weekend. All right, let's take a one more call. 517, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Oh, my God, I made it on. Hi, Frank.
Hello, who's this? Shelly?
This is Shelly, also known as Moon Bunny.
Oh, Moon Bunny, you were included in the card from Zoso Dude.
I was.
You and many other people. Thank you so much for being a part of that.
Welcome. You are so welcome. So I have spooky stories. It was my childhood home, and it was built in the 40s, so it had like creaky stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And my bedroom bed was facing the stairs. So I had woken up, and I heard footsteps, and I expected my brother had a room next to me. I had to go through my room to get to his room. And I thought it was him coming up the steps, and it just kept going and going and going, and there was no brother showed up. Yeah, so I was on alert there. But, there were so many things that happened in that house. There was one other time where, again, I was sleeping, but I was woken up by a buzzing, a poking in my ribs, like electricity. Just and just constant, just this buzzing. It woke me up, and so I was being touched, by a ghost. I insisted it was a ghost.
And
but there was always
this would recur, or are we talking about one-time events?
Oh, this was recurrent. So there was always something. Then there was another time there was knocking over my wooden bedboard, right on my headboard of my bed. It knocked from left, knock, 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 to right, knock, knock, knock. And it kept doing that. It loved whatever that was. I called it a ghost. It would insist on interrupting my sleep. So I would be interrupted with stair sounds, stair steps, or being poked,
mm-hmm.
or the knocking over my head. It was crazy.
Wow. Yeah.
That was crazy. And my mother also said, she admitted later on that her mattress lifted up 4 feet in the air and dropped down. And I was a little older. I go, why didn't you say something? And she said, well, I thought it might scare you. So she basically told me that everything I was experiencing was nothing because she just wanted me to forget about it. I might be scared, and I don't know.
Well, maybe she did you a favor because I
hope so.
Listen, as far as footsteps go, and Shelly, thank you so much for the call, Moon Bunny.
Yeah, no problem. Love ya.
They all love you too. Thank you so much. Footsteps. Now, this is unexplained. You can just say, well, Frank, it's just the way the houses are. But last year, in the middle of all that remodeling that we were doing at my home, there was a time where our kitchen was very, very bare because the floors were so bad. There was like a 6-inch to 7-inch dip. I always knew that the floors up there were cockeyed. But I didn't know it was that bad. If you were to put a marble on our kitchen floor 2 years ago, you would have to go and run for it. And so they had taken everything out of this kitchen. It was down to just the joists and everything. Like it was very, very spooky up there for a while. And on the back porch, there was nothing else. There was nothing else going on. There was a little bit of equipment there, but it was nothing. I would be, and now while that's all being done, I'm in the downstairs bathroom, and at night I have my routines. I like taking showers at night. I'm a nighttime showerer because I like listening to radio and just whatever. Anyway, I'd be down there, and I heard the shifting of weight of a full-grown man on the porch above me. I heard it. I know what it was. Sometimes house sounds. There's a little bit of a creak. There's something else. You hear a moan of some wood, whatever the hell it is. Especially when the seasons are starting to change and the house is going in. Mine is like a little bit of a fun house built in the 1920s. So it kind of changes with this. One season you're going to be able to close the door a little bit easier than the other season. So you have to keep shaving the door down so that finally, after the course of a couple of years, the door works properly during all seasons. And but this was not that. This was steps. This was real. This was a full-grown man's worth of weight shifting around upstairs to the point where I was waiting. I actually set up shop and I was waiting, watching these steps leading up to that porch for like an hour and a half. I was frozen. Time went by, and I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for somebody to come down. I'm envisioning what the person looks like. Finally, I can't stand waiting anymore because it's getting close, like 1 o'clock in the morning. I want to be able to get to bed, but I also want to make sure that I don't have to, do something. I don't have to take some action here. So I finally went outside and I started coming around the other way and peeking around. Splashed some light up there, made my way up there eventually, and everything. Nobody's there. Nothing is there. It was serious though. See, it was not house sounds. It was the shifting of a human body, bipedal creature. I don't know how else to say it. Hillary Clinton knows what I mean. Hillary Clinton knows what I mean. Hillary Clinton says Trump planned speech at Madison Square Garden is a reenactment of a 1939 Nazi rally. That's the best you can come up with. Good. I'm happy. I had this here too. And I would like to take some calls on this over the course of the next week as well. This is a great thread. It's very, very creepy. It's from creepy.org's Twitter page. Strange things people have found in their old houses. Please start writing into me about things like this. Have you moved into an old house? Have you been a part? Anything that you've uncovered behind a wall, underneath a carpet, things that people were doing. Things that people were doing in this house before. Here's one for you. The old carpets of this one apartment were pulled up in a newly purchased house, revealing this hidden underneath. A pentagram. Is it a curse for new owners? Was there satanic rituals that was there? What would you do if you pulled up the carpets and you saw that? What would you do? Especially if you already closed on the house. What would you do? A person found a hidden house in his attic. They went into the attic and there was a house in there. What the hell do you think about that? A tooth was found shoved into the wall of an old house. You know what we found in the wall of our house when we were redoing the kitchen and all that stuff? We found a wishbone, a chicken wishbone. So I don't know who the hell put it in there inside the wall. Obviously somebody who's doing work before, and they thought, hey, let this house be brought some good luck. I made sure that thing was put back and made very snug. Estuardo was telling me, did I ever tell you the pee-pee story? I'll tell you the pee-pee story one day. That's a story about taking the lemons that life gives you and making lemonade, which is probably not the best thing to say when I'm referencing pee-pee. One day I'll tell you the pee-pee story when it's relevant. It's not here, but Estuardo was one of the guys that was working on my my kitchen, and I said, hey. He said, what do you think about this? I said, yeah, let's put it right back. When the time comes, I'm going to leave it right here. We're going to put it right back in the wall, get it in the insulation, make sure it's nice. So there you go. A tooth found. A shallow body-sized hole found behind a newly purchased house. It's a shallow grave, ladies and gentlemen. There's nothing else going on. That is a shallow grave. Somebody was like, we got to get the hell out of here. And we got to take the bones with us. Before a dog finds it, get the hell out. The new house owner found something else. Found something sealed in the basement. I'm not opening that up. I mean, there's so much in here. It gets worse and worse. So I would love to hear about things, and I'll keep this handy because when I start taking your calls on the things that you have found, strange things you found in old homes and anything like that, that'll be a good one. And we still have time. We still have time. We can still do a little bit of spooky stuff on a November 1st. We can still do that next Friday. There's no rule against it. Yeah, it's All Saints Day, but we can still do a little bit of something to cap off Halloween week, and that's what we will do because there's a lot more. Let's see. Here, let's take one more call for the night. 610, you're the last of the evening. Is this Timothy?
Oh, no, it's Kim.
Kim, welcome to the show.
I can't believe I got through.
Yeah, well, here you are.
I've been listening since 2019. You helped me get through a home renovation. I would listen to your show while I was doing a bunch of different stuff. But anyway, I do have a weird story.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in college, so I went to East Stroudsburg and we rented, it was like a row home. And I took the smallest room. My dad built me a loft. And so it really wasn't like you could put a desk under it, but I just probably threw all my clothes under it. But I was sleeping one night. I worked at pizza, got home late, went to bed, and then I all of a sudden just got woken up. And I'm like, I looked down at the bottom of the bed of the loft, and I see this black figure rising. And I pull the covers over my head, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, please, God, please, Jesus, make it go away. Go. And it went away. Then 3 months later was winter break. The other 4 roommates, we had 6 girls in the house, or no, it was 5 girls. The other girls went away. It was just me and my other roommate, Kim. And I had brought my younger sister's Ouija board back to this house had to be from the late 1800s. It was falling apart.
And now you're bringing a Ouija board into it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know any of this stuff back then.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking back then. This was back in the late 80s, early 90s. So I just thought it would be fun. That was a joke back then. They had commercials on TV. They sold it for Christmas. There were commercials for it. So I said, Kim, do you want to do we went down the street, we ate, had a couple of beers, came back, and we're sitting there. So you want to play the Ouija board? And we go into her room because she thinks, because I told her the story about the weird apparition that I saw. And she's like, I think my room is totally haunted. It was right down the hall from me. I said, why the Ouija board? Let's try it in there. And we literally spoke to someone. The thing was moving and I'm like, Kim, stop moving it. She's like, I'm not touching it. And my hands were shaking because I was trying not to touch it at all. And the thing was moving, and it was this guy, John, and he was shot in the house. We literally picked up the board, put it in a black trash bag, left it on the porch, and we went to my boyfriend's house and slept there. And threw that into the dumpster.
Yeah, good. Well, thankfully, John didn't follow you to your boyfriend's house. Hey,
it was so scary. It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen.
Was there any confirmation that there was a person shot in the house named John?
Well, back then we didn't have the internet. So it was back in 1991.
Yeah, but there's still the local police blotters, things like that. I mean, that should show up in a crime blotter.
Okay, Frank, I was like,
I
was a sorority girl. I was like, whatever. I was like, get me. I'm never touching this thing ever again.
Well, at least you learned your lesson.
Yeah,
at least you learned your lesson. That's a good one, though. Hey, I'm sure that there's no shortage of Ouija board stories out there. We've definitely heard a lot of them over the years. But
that thing moves. It does move on its own.
Oh, yeah.
I witnessed it. It was crazy how it was going from one letter. It wasn't like the 8. It was going from letter to letter. It was crazy. It went so fast, I could almost imagine the man's mind, his voice in my head.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Yeah, that's a little bit more personal than the usual yes/no stories. But thank you for the call. Hey, and listen, thank you for hanging out with me for so many years. 2019 is
I tried to call in so many times and never got through.
Watch what happens now. Now that you got through, you kind of like broke the seal. You'll probably get through every third time now.
Yeah, I love your show. It's like a good decompression from the nonsense
Well, I'm happy.
of the day.
I'm happy.
True.
Because 2019 was a lifetime ago, so we've definitely been through the shit so far, haven't we?
Oh, the whole shit storm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, have yourself a great night and a greght weekend. We'll talk soon. If you ever have a hard time getting through, you really want to share something, always remember, you and everybody else, email the show. I try to keep on top of those inboxes. I don't know how I do, but I do pretty decent. So never hesitate.
Thanks, Frank.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
There you go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for tonight. That is it for tonight. I thank you all so much. I'm going to leave you. Let's see here. Atway says, I'm 45. My hubs is 47. My kids are 15 and 20. They all listen to you. You see? It's all, I think the younger generation is listening group in a group setting. So we don't have an accurate telling of what's going on there. But plenty more coming up next week. Dude, it's the big one. Next week is the primer. It's the last week before the election. And it's Halloween, and there's so many things. There's a World Series. Man, are you ready? I guess it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's already over. It's already next year. Are you ready? Best be ready. But one foot in front of the other. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave you in the loving arms of the After Hours on QuiteFrankly.tv. John Carroll has everything ready. I told you it's a robust amount of stuff tonight, a great variety. It's almost like a weekend roundup like we started doing that we did a while ago. So there's some news, there's some interesting, really stuff, deep dive types of stuff. Go and check it out, QuiteFrankly.tv. Just press play and hang out. And the other thing there, too, is we only have one postcard sponsor on Patreon left. We're writing out all the postcards this weekend. I'd love to ship them out next week so many of you can get them, if not all of you get them, on or before Halloween. If it comes the day after, who the hell I don't know. I just want to make sure that we can get everybody in. And we have one postcard sponsorship left on Patreon. I would love for you to be a part of it because, of course, you're going to get a chocolate signing bonus from Yes Cacao. And then there's just, you're supporting the show going into a big year, and that's what we want to try to do, and incentivize people to be a part of it and get more out of this than just the 7 o'clock meetups that we do on this broadcast, which is an amazing life privilege and honor in itself. But I just want to keep creating more value for you guys and gals who support this and make it possible, and that's what it all is. That's what the bulletin is. That's what the film club and the book club is for. It's about creating value and actually investing in the things that we always say need to be improved. Culture, community, all of that stuff. So it's for you guys. It really is. And I enjoy the hell out of it. I never drag my feet into book club. I'm like, yes. I can't wait. Now, I can't do that on Monday night because my attention's going to be split with the World Series. I can't do that. It has to be a good session. So we're going to do the last book club of the year, the Monkey's Paw, on Halloween night after the Halloween broadcast is over. So become a sponsor, but there's only one Patreon postcard left, and that is the special for the month. That's the one that has the chocolate signing bonus. Who knows what we do for specials in November, but I'll let you know soon. And thank you for another great week. See ya. Be good.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Quite Frankly is filmed before a live studio audience, and now our super chatters, starting with Doughboy, Shotzi, Jay Britz, Cody, and John Volts. Thank you to all of our wonderful gold pillars. I'm going to release the Scratch It. I'm also going to dump out the treasure chest on D-Live. Get to QuiteFrankly.tv and enjoy the rest of the night with us. Take care.